whereas we are joined from Atlanta by my friend Tyronica S. Carter, uh, owner of Carter Coaching Solutions and Radiant Styles Jewelry out there in Georgia. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson. I've got a room full here with me, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for fitting us in. I know we had some scheduling issues, but we made it happen.
We made it happen. I appreciate the invite and I'm excited to be here and share.
Well, and we obviously want to talk about all the cool things you do with all your coaching and branding and about the book and also the jewelry as well. But just give us a little background because you are from Mississippi and we're actually a former Falcon with Luther Branson and Velma Jackson.
Yes, I am. I was born in Jackson and I lived there for a good little while of my elementary school years. And for a little while, we had to go and stay with my grandmother who lived in Canton. She actually was a teacher at Luther Branson. And I went to Luther Branson for part of my fifth grade year and transitioned to Velma Jackson for part of my sixth grade year. And then my family finally moved to Dallas, Texas, where I grew up. But I eventually came back to Mississippi because I attended Jackson State, graduated there in class of '02 and met my husband and all that good stuff. And we ended up here in Atlanta. We've been here almost 20 years now. Well, over 20
That's
years, a
awesome.
little over.
That's incredible. Now, before you went into full-time entrepreneurship, you were actually a teacher as well.
Yes, I
Um,
was.
so, and I know you really enjoy teaching, but talk about how, being a teacher kind of translated into that transition of being an entrepreneur.
So, I taught for elementary school. I taught for 15 years. Absolutely loved it. It was the only thing I ever wanted to do. In our generation, you were always kind of taught, go to school, get an education, become a teacher, doctor, lawyer, those traditional type jobs. And so I became a teacher and I loved it. However, you're a teacher, educator, you know how it is. Most teachers have to do things on the side to supplement their income. And so I found a way to do that through the network marketing industry, which was the jewelry business that I eventually joined. And I loved it because it's affordable jewelry. And my thinking was my teacher friends could afford this. So, it became pretty lucrative pretty fast. And next thing I knew, my team started building. I'm having to put a lot of time into this business as opposed to teaching. And it just like it made only made sense, especially once that business became more than what I was making as a teacher. So I decided to give entrepreneurship a try, and that's been 10 years ago, 8 years full time. So, but yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and you have the jewelry business, and we'll share that link with everybody before we go. The Radiant Styles Jewelry, but you have written a book
Yeah.
about empowering women in business, and you've spoken all over the country when it comes to events. You've helped businesses start. You've helped them plan their launch. You've helped them hire the right people. You've helped them find their marketing strategy. So talk about where that expertise comes from and the type of things you do.
Well, I tell people all the time, one of the things that I realized with entrepreneurship, it was never on my radar. But I had to realize that teaching was the stepping stone to where eventually I was supposed to be in life. With my background in education, I feel like, I can relate and kind of convey information to people effectively, through just being able to educate and teach them. I say all the time, I'm still an educator. My classroom just looks different. And so being able to have that stepping stone of knowing how to teach, knowing how to give pointers in a way that people can really break down and understand the steps of entrepreneurship. It led me into not just my jewelry business, but I found that, I had a bigger gift as well. And so I used what I have, the knowledge from being an entrepreneur, because honestly, when I stepped into entrepreneurship, I just kind of failed, as they say, fail, failed forward, failed my way through it a lot of times to become successful. And so I began to gain and take this knowledge and not only just share with my team, but to share with other entrepreneurs. So therefore, I also started my business, Carter Coaching Solution and Empowerment and Solutions. And so with that, it's a lot of things under that umbrella. I help budding entrepreneurs. If you have a business idea, you just don't know where to start, you don't know how to get it, kicked off. Those are the things that I like to teach those who are just kind of the underdogs trying to figure it out, without a real plan in place. And between that and other empowerment engagements that talks that I do, that's where I am now with my business as well.
That's awesome. Now, as you're doing this, and I think I know the answer to this, but I still want to ask you because I want them to hear it. As you meet these young entrepreneurs, and I've had several students come to this class. I've got one, unfortunately, she's not here today. She's already running her own business. She wants to,
Wow.
she's really very skilled cosmetologist. So Chandra Alicia is not here, but I want her to know I did speak about her on this recording, so her friends can tell her. But the biggest two mistakes that I see, and I'm curious if they're the same ones you see. The first mistake I see is kids get in the mindset of I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm just going to market this to my friends because that's the people I think are going to buy this.
Yep.
The second mistake I see is even if they're not marketing to their friends, they might have a great idea, even a cool logo, spend a lot of time practicing what they're doing, even a pretty good sales pitch. And then I see their prices and I'm like, oh, you are not charging enough. Because look, I don't know, I will never need my hair braided by a professional braider, but I can tell you if somebody's not charging enough for it. So
Yes.
I'm curious to see if that's kind of the same thing you see with young entrepreneurs is not marketing to the right people and then not charging what they're really worth.
That is one of the biggest things that I have to get into the mindset of my team. It's all about mindset. Once you get here and realize your worth and what business is really all about, you are the CEO of it. Yes, a lot of people think, well, my friends and my family, and I'll say, listen, Walmart is not Walmart because their friends and their family have sustained their business. They are the stepping stone. They are your guinea pigs when you start your business, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a sad reality that your family and your friends are not going to be your biggest buyers. They're not going to be your biggest consumers. You are going to have to learn how to market and branch out into this big thing. And social media, I mean, they have it so good with social media because, that you have a free advertisement. It is your free commercial. It is your free billboard and things. And if you use it correctly, you can reach so many people across the country. I mean, especially now where I am 10 years into the business, everybody who knows me knows that I sell jewelry. If you want jewelry, you know to come to me. And after a while, you have to tap into what's called that cold market. You have to go and find new consumers, new customers, and people who are going to be there. And so it's all about consistency. The more you put yourself out there and market it, even when there's going to be times no one's going to like your post, your family and your friends aren't going to comment. They're not going to share. They're not going to do the things that you thought that they were going to do. But you have to make sure that the biggest thing takeaway is that as an entrepreneur, it is your responsibility to make your business successful, right? So if you see it going in the direction that you don't want it to go in, or it's not elevating the way you want it to, I always tell my team, listen, take that finger, turn it back around. What is it that I am not doing to put more into it? And especially as far as pricing as well. Oh my goodness, listen, people are out here paying for what they want to pay for. And so you need to make sure that you are keeping up with what the cost is, but also giving yourself the credit that you deserve for what it is that you have your niche in. I had to do that with myself with my coaching business. I know that when I first started, I really undervalued my services. And once I talk to people, and that's another good thing, you have to have some type of mentor. People are my mentors and don't even know they're my mentors. So if you don't have that direct contact to someone, you follow the people. You have to make sure that whatever field you're in, you are following the experts who are giving that free advice and that free step by step on what to do. So it's so many ways to achieve the results that you want to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned about social media, it's a free resource for everybody, and it really is, it really can be extremely effective if it's used right. But another issue is these kids, again, very talented, very tech savvy. If they could put the same effort into marketing a business as they do trying to put funny dances, it is amazing how their business would it would just catapult. Because and look, and I like the silly stuff too. I'm a big sports fan. I like following the athletes, seeing what they're doing, but finding business advice and finding people that are going to pour positive things into you and then using it for positive for yourself.
Yes.
And then when you're 18, you're like, wow, I wish I'd have gotten a head start on my business instead of trying to be silly.
And that's so true. I do a lot of career days. And I find myself that, being that my background is in education, but however, what I do, I find that I love going to career days for the high school students, and they are soaking up the information. And this past spring, when I did a career day, I came across this freshman. He's 14, I think he's 15 now, a serial entrepreneur. right?
Wow.
And so I followed him on social media, and the information and the things that he puts out is next level. Like really, when by the time he graduates, when he becomes 18 and he's ready to maybe do whatever he wants to do full blown, he is so prepared because he is out there not only, but see, kids have to realize you can mix the silly and funny dances in with your business. Why? Because people buy into you and not necessarily always your product. When they like you, when they like the things that you're doing, when they see what you're doing in your community, in your church, at school, all of those things is what builds the character and attracts people to you. So therefore, you're going to be the first person they think about when they need your services. So they have to make sure that they are incorporating both of those things, giving it that good balance because social media is powerful when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I got to connect you with another friend of this class out in California, and they're going to speak in the spring. And they have made the funniest little jingles on TikTok, and they do pest control, and they have these
Mm,
little catchy songs, and it is amazing. They've used that to triple their customer base in Southern California. So you can
absolutely.
have fun with it, but still, at the end of the day, your end goal is to have more customers.
That and then another thing I tell people too is when you are posting on Facebook, when you're posting on social media, I never post on social media without thinking to myself, what is it that I want my audience and my followers to get from this post? Is this a sales post? Is this an attraction post? Is this just even a funny post? But even if it is a funny and cute post, I'm gonna find a way to put it in there where you're going to know and remember who I am. And so they have to make sure that there's some type, like you just said, there's some type of end goal to what it is that you're putting out there because it's so doable. And when you do it that way, you're going to see such a huge change and shift. I remember when with using social media, and I would go around my friends and my family, and the conversation would go from, "Oh, how are those kids this year? How's your class?" Instead, they were saying, "Oh, there's Miss Entrepreneur. There's that jewelry lady." So I knew then that my posts were shifting because they became to know me as this instead of this now.
That's awesome. And it really is about how you're perceived because I always say the entrepreneur needs the customer more than the customer needs the entrepreneur. So you have to
Absolutely.
show why they need you.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
Now, along the same lines, and I know they get sick of me talking about this, but this is my soapbox. I keep going crazy on. Because you talked about is it because you just mentioned sales. And they do presentations and they usually do a really good job on them, but it's always something you can improve on
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, being even if you don't want to be a full-time entrepreneur, if you just want to be an employee that thinks like an entrepreneur, that's fine.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are always looking for entrepreneurial minded employees, but being
Yeah.
able to walk into a room and introduce yourself, being able to stand up and say, hey, here's what I'm selling, here's what it costs, here's how it's going to benefit you, and being
Yeah.
able to speak confidently about it. Now, you've spoken to big groups, I've spoken to big groups, and everybody can, but not everybody can speak like that. But you've got to have that one-on-one interaction.
Yeah.
And maybe the phones have hurt this generation when it comes to having that. But when you have that skill, it is amazing how much you stand out in business.
You should absolutely have some type of elevator pitch, what they call with your business. Whatever it is, you should be able to run down your business, switch it up and go directly into that business mode. Whether you're, like you said, looking for a job or you're looking to be the CEO. I have two young adult sons, one who is an adult and one who's a sophomore at Tuskegee University. And
Oh,
one thing that I really appreciated with this entrepreneur journey is they have been able to see me, right? Go from employer to employee to employer, well, entrepreneur. And so they've seen the transition and they now have that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit, right? But one of the things I have told them, I do want them to understand what it is to be an employee, right? You have to get that discipline. You have to understand, be on time, what it is, organization, all of those things. And when you have that in place and you're ready to bud, you can turn anything that you can think of that you're working on, that you're a part of, you can always take any of those things and make it into your own and become your own boss and entrepreneur. So when it comes to that, get your elevator pitch together. It should be no more than sometimes 30 seconds to a minute, 2 minutes of, and know your product, know your business, know what it is that you want, again, the people to gain from your little speech in that few minutes. Because when you have and show that confidence, it's a game changer. People can tell when you are, I don't want to say timid and shy, but when they'll walk away saying, okay, yeah, I don't know about that product right there. They don't seem to really know their own product. So you have to have that confidence and know what you're talking about.
man, and it's amazing how if the more confident you sound, um, the easier it is to sell things. And you can find tricks to sell things. The one I always think is so funny, and they think I'm joking about this, but I swear this works almost every time.
Uh-huh.
Back when I was selling cell phones, people would call me on the phone and they would start talking about how much does this cost? How much does this cost? And what I would always do, and I never lied about anything because you can tell the truth and make it sound better than it really is.
Yeah,
Because what I would say is, yeah, you're going to need, let's just say for this to tell the story state, you need 250 bucks. That's okay, cool. So they get there and they think all they're getting is a phone. But what they don't know is I've told them the price of the phone plus about three or four other things they can get with this. And they're coming in thinking they're just going to buy that. Wow, I didn't know it included all of this. And I never
absolutely.
lied to them. I never gave them any false information, but I had them thinking, oh, I'm just going to get this. I put things in front of them. It was a mental thing.
Absolutely. And and that is you hit it head on. A lot of this stuff is mental, even for yourself. But and when I said even making the post, what is it that you want the people to gain from that? That's a mental thing. You're playing that game of, okay, listen, I'm just taking a selfie today, but really I'm trying to get you to look at my jewelry. And at the end of the day, you're not even gonna worry about what my selfie picture said. You're gonna be like, Ty, your earrings are so cute. Where can I get those from? You see what I'm saying? So you have to learn how to in a I hate to use the word manipulation, but manipulate the words that you're saying to make sure you're getting the outcome that you want. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is in the lying. You're not falsifying anything, but you're trying to make sure that you're getting across the message that you want to get across, even with a distraction type picture. And that's so important to know how to do. One of the things in my book, one of the books I have is called Journey to Six Figures, and I talk about just the four things that just branding yourself. How do you brand yourself? Because you were a cell phone salesman, but I'm sure there were others there. But what made you stand out? What made it to where people say, "Hey, I want to come in with Greg. My friend recommended him." You have to make sure that you are standing out in a way that makes people want to come to you.
Yeah, and you mentioned branding because you're wearing a piece of jewelry that you sell. Always being
Yeah.
able to show things that you, especially in the clothing and jewelry industry, always having things you're selling. When I was working in cell phones, I always had a Bluetooth on. Sometimes it wasn't even connected, but it looked like it was.
He
And they said,
was.
"Hey, that looks really cool. I want one of those." So
Hmm.
when you show the ease of use, show how it looks, and the word I always use is perceived value. Again, you're not ripping it. You're not going to give somebody crap because then they're not going to
Right.
come back. But you show
Right.
that it's a great value. People will pay for convenience. People will pay
Yes. Yes.
for
And
knowing they know for sure that it works.
you have to be a product of the product because again, why would who wants to buy something from you if you don't seem to believe in what you're pushing or putting out there yourself? So if you're a product of your product, that definitely speaks volumes even more. It builds trust. That's one of the things that I talk about in my branding yourself. You have to build trust with your people, and that's through being transparent. That's through being, a lot of people say, I don't want to put my business out there. Listen, you're a business owner. I want people all in my
Better put it
business.
out there.
I want you in my business. There's nothing. So you have to be transparent because again, when you build that trust, that's again what makes people think about you when they're ready or need those services or hear someone else talking about the need for the services. You're going to be the first person they think of.
Big time. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and these are all great. And for this class, they've all come up with their own original business concepts. We've been looking at how to price it. We've done the mission and vision statements. And we're going to do some more stuff with it as the year goes along.
Okay.
But I love this first one, and this is Tredarius Quinn. He's in 10th grade. He's a member of our band here, and his idea is a streetwear clothing line. And
Okay.
he asked, have you ever helped anyone with a streetwear brand? And how do you recommend boosting this brand?
You know why that's an excellent question? Because my oldest son started out with a clothing brand line when he was in high school and he took it into college. And yes, I have absolutely helped him with his brand. And the main thing that, again, that we wanted to do is find a way to make sure that his logo stood out. What made it different? What made it attractive? Now, it doesn't always have to be, something that's so out there and extra because some of these brands that I'm seeing coming out are just something real simple, but it's unique. And a lot of times if you have a story behind it, that gets to people as well. So when you have your clothing brand, you want to number one, again, be the product of the product. Find people who will model it for you as well. You want to find those ambassadors are great for street clothing line. Find someone with a big following, have them tag you in it, all of those good stuff. It's about that marketing and it's about how you're putting it out there and making it look good for this generation.
Big time.
It's a big industry and market to get into.
Yeah, and we had one of our recent alums who is at Mississippi State now, who has started a clothing brand, got a few of his fellow graduates to start modeling it, and they're making a nice little chunk of change. He's not the full time on the entrepreneurship game yet, but they've been quite successful, and it's really cool to see. And he did exactly what you just said.
Yep. You find those ambassadors, even if you don't have professional people, photographers, these cameras take amazing pictures. Find it to where you're highlighting, spotlighting, use hashtags, tag people. My son used to also do that as well. He would tag other brands or entrepreneurs. He would tag local celebrities or local people he knew that had big followings, and he would send them their stuff and they would so you have to do all of those things to put it out there. That goes again beyond your friends and your family, because why? Your friends and your family more than likely knows a lot of the same people that you do. So you want to get out there. You want to think past Mississippi. You want to think past the Camden area to where how can you get it out there?
I love it. I like this one. This is Jameer Mayfield. He's a junior member of our band here, also at Velma Jackson. He's got an idea for a barbecue, uh, kind of food truck type deal. But he asked, when you're creating a brand strategy, how do you decide what to create, and how long does it take how long is the process from initial concept to finished piece?
So, being a former teacher, that's a good question. Now, you tapping into my branding services, but that's okay. One of the things that when someone is starting their branding, the strategy that you use, number one, is you want to again map out your goals. What is it that you want to achieve with this? Is it that your long-term goals, your short-term goals? If it's right now, I just want to get it kicked off. So you want to start thinking of things like, okay, can I talk to my school? Is there a time that I can serve food? Is there a time that I can serve or cater these little small things? Sometimes you got to realize as a business person, when you ask about how long is the process, sometimes you got to give before you can get. So, doing those small things, if you guys have clubs there at the school, be the one to cater it. Network, talk to the people, talk to the adults that are there. So when it comes to that branding strategy, it's about putting that product out there, talking to as many people. Listen, do not get tired of talking to people about your product. I don't care that people got tired of hearing me talking about my jewelry, talking about what it did for me and my family, how it got me out of education, the stories of whatever it is. You want to be able to get it out there. And so when I would definitely recommend when it comes to the food truck is doing those little small catering services and then getting out there and having people recommend, the recommendation word of mouth is definitely what gets you out there. So that's a great thing to achieve as well for a cook. I love it.
Now, you just said something I thought was funny because you said it don't matter if people get sick of it. I actually heard John Legend tell this story 2 weeks ago at his concert about when he first got into the music industry. He got his break by playing on Lauryn Hill's debut album. And
Mm.
he's told everybody he met, I'm on track 13. I'm on track 13. He said, I said it so much, people around Philadelphia were just calling me track 13. So
Yeah.
he said people may have got sick of it, but they knew where I was. And I was like, as silly as that sounds, that's actually genius.
It really is. I'm telling you, I know when I first started in the business, I remember people would tell me, well, it just sounds like you're bragging. It just sounds like, and I'm like, listen, that's why one of my favorite quotes have become from Muhammad Ali, it's not bragging if you can back it up. So you want to put it out there because think about the times you watch a TV show and every time there's a commercial, it's the same McDonald's commercial. It's that we know about the Arby's new steaks. I mean, because it's out there every commercial. So do not be afraid of that. And you're going to have people who do not understand the mission that you're on. I tell people all the time that was a conversation between you and God. Everybody was not on that conference call. So just because
Wow.
they don't see the vision, they don't understand it, it was not given to them. If it was given to you, then it's already put within you on how to execute it. You just got to find that way.
That's awesome. I like this one. This is Shanaria Lewis. She's in 10th grade. Has a great idea for an adult day sitting service. Really a huge demand for that with the aging population living longer and longer. That can be very lucrative.
Yes.
But she asked, do you feel the skills that you learned in college have been relevant to the goals you have for yourself now?
That's a great question. Um, The reason why I feel like, because education for me is huge, period. Even with both of my boys wanting to go to entrepreneur route, I tell them, listen, at the end of the day, you always want to have something to fall back on. College gave me that. College gave me experience of the real world because what it does is not only is it educational background, yes, the skills that you learn, it's the skills that you're learning while you're in high school as well. However, once you decide on what you want to become, it's you hone in on those specific skills with college, right? But college is much more than that. It's about socialization. It's about getting you outside of your comfort zone because right now, Velma Jackson, where you are, that's your community. Those are the people you've grown up with. But when you go to college, you're going to meet people from all over the world and you're going to learn how to communicate better. You're going to learn how to communicate with different people that doesn't look like you, doesn't sound like you, doesn't have the same background makeup. Even if they are the same color of you, people are different. So you want
Absolutely.
to use the college. I love because it is a social skill and it is a social based learning. So one of the things I told both of my sons, my oldest one who's graduated, my one who's current student in college, is he's a band kid as well. Um, I want you to join organizations outside of band. Get to learn how to network. Go find an organization that has nothing to do with band and get to know those people because what you have to also understand is after you leave college, you make lifelong bonds and those skills and those opportunities are stretched way beyond those 4 years of college. So college, absolutely, if you have the opportunity, I would say do it.
Yeah, and big shout out to my friend Dr. Sharon Simmons at Jackson State, who leads up their entrepreneurship department. And I tell everybody, even if you're not one of her students, if you have an idea, make an appointment to go talk to her. She will talk with anybody about entrepreneurship, and she does such a great job over there at Jackson State.
Never be
But I got
afraid
time.
to use your resources.
Yeah, I got time for two more. This is
Okay.
Elijah Dawson. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "What about your business are you most proud of?"
Oh, that's a good question. I will honestly say the main thing that I'm most proud about my business is the fact that I did it. That I stepped out on something that was scary. You have to realize to be a teacher, 15 years, I'm secure. I have a steady paying job, and I stepped out on faith to do something that I didn't, never would have seen, of course, the success that it would have brought me, but I felt like I could do it. I had done it so far and I trusted me. So that's what I'm most proud of is that I trusted me and I have to continue to trust me because as an entrepreneur, if I don't work, I don't get paid. If I don't get up, there's
Bingo.
no boss saying, "Hey, you late today." I have to get up. And so that's what I continue to do is make me proud by the way I keep leveling myself up because that's what it's all about. You have mentors, you have other people that you watch, but at the end of the day, my goal is to beat my best beat myself better than I did the month before, the week before, the year ago, the year before. And so that and also I'm most proud about the fact that I can inspire other people to do it. I never would have thought. I tell people all the time I'm a girl from Mississippi and I didn't have everything at the tip of my fingers. I wasn't born with the silver spoon. I wasn't born with all the know-tos and know-hows of entrepreneurship. Like that was never like that seemed like something rich people do, and so I had a secure job. And so I'm most proud that I took that leap of faith, that my husband entrusted me to do so, and that I was able to continue to do it. So, and I'm excited of what more I can do. I love the fact that I'm learning and I'm learning to expand my entrepreneurial into other venues as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the amount of time it takes and the amount of hard work it takes because and I say this all the time too. It's funny, but it's kind of sad at the same time. I'm a huge fan of Jasmine Sullivan, but she
Mhm.
has the song where she says, "I'm going to move to Atlanta, open a business, and be rich." And I'm like, "Don't work like that."
It does not work like that. It doesn't, you have some people who have those shooting star stories where, they do come up real quick, but you have to be careful because just as fast as you go up, you can come down. And, with me having been in this business for 10 years, I've had people on my team who quit, who come and go, but you have to understand as an entrepreneur, it's like this. You have highs and lows, you have highs and lows consistently. And it's what you do in those low and those valley times that okay, it's time to revamp. Because absolutely, I'm not doing the same thing that I did 10 years ago to run my business. Times have changed, technology has changed. You have to go with the flow. So if you're not adjusting and going with it, nothing happens overnight. And that's one of the hardest things to get my team to see is they see where I am now. I've multi six figure, seven figure earner over the 10 years I've been in this business. But you didn't see my beginnings when I'm at pool halls selling my jewelry. Yes, I have pictures of me at pool halls everywhere I can go and set up my jewelry and sell it. I was there. And so you have to understand, don't compare your chapter one to somebody else's chapter 12. Don't do that.
There you go. And that's a great segue to this final question. This is Jacayla Cross. She's in 10th grade, wants to get into an Asian themed business, really big fan of the Korean culture,
Yes.
and wants to spend time in Korea to study. But she asked, what does a typical day look like for you?
Wow, typical day for me is definitely a lot of discipline. I'm not going to say I get up as early as I did when I was teaching, okay? That's one of the biggest perks is that, but I do try to be up by 9 o'clock. I'm up. And one of the best advice that was given to me when I became an entrepreneur was to get up, get dressed, do your hair, put your makeup on, take a shower, do all those things that you did before. And it really does make a difference. When I'm up and I'm dressed, I feel like, okay, I'm ready for the day. And so my day basically looks like, okay, I start off on my phone, emails, checking my team messages, all of those types of things. Then I make my way here to my office where I'm packaging up jewelry, checking orders. I'm also marketing a lot. I am actually still a one-man show. A lot of my colleagues get on me and they're like, why aren't you hiring help? But I have a very bad problem of control. My husband helps as much as he can, but literally, I am the one doing my marketing. I am the one doing my shipping. I am the one that's training my team. I am the one that's, on all of those things. So it really is. And if you're not focused and if you do not keep a little, like, I don't necessarily have handbooks, but I have strips of papers of notes everywhere. I like, they're all here, but I know where everything is. And so I have to stay organized. I have to stay on track. It is so easy to all of a sudden start watching what's happening on Judge Judy, but I have to stay on track. But I also give myself a timeline of a certain time that I'm checking my messages. I try not to make go too far into the evening, but as an entrepreneur there are late nights and early mornings, so my day is usually pretty full. It's not often that I don't have a day of nothing, but when I do have a day of nothing, I do nothing. But it's hard to turn your brain off when you're an entrepreneur because again, if I don't work, I don't get paid. I am the captain of what comes into my household, what income I generate. And so, as long as you understand that, then that is what pushes you. If you have something that's pulling you, that pushing you to the goal, then that's what's going to keep you going as an entrepreneur.
Love it. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule, especially as busy as you just sounded. But a couple things before we go. TyronicaCarter.com. You've got the book there. You've got the link to all of your services. Also, the link there to Radiant Styles Jewelry. Anywhere else they can find you online to get anything you're selling.
Yes, absolutely. TyronicaCarter.com is where you can find all of my services. I do offer 15-minute consultations for, if anybody wants to just get information on where to start. My jewelry there. I am on social media. I know you guys are probably on Instagram as opposed to Facebook, but I am at the THEE _ Tyronica S Carter. You're definitely more than welcome to follow me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well, Tyronica Carter. I think it's Ty Carter 20. I'm not sure, but you can find me on there. Not everybody's named Tyronica. Um, but other than that, my email as well, tycarter01 @gmail. But I absolutely appreciate this time and opportunity. I'm so excited. My family goes back to Velma Jackson as well, both my parents and all my aunts, uncles, like it's my family school because that's where I'm from. So I was very proud to be a part of this today.
Now, and the last thing before we go is, you just mentioned how your family has ties to the Camden area. You were even walking these same halls,
Hmm.
um, living in the same community not that long ago.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell your age, but we're close to the same age. But it
Uh,
wasn't that long ago. You were
yeah.
walking these same halls, going to the same school, and yet you listed off your accomplishments, and you're even humble and didn't talk about some things you've done. So you obviously are proof that no matter where you're from, you can make it successful. So these kids that are in the same place that have access to things we never had access to, how can they be
Absolutely.
just successful as someone like you?
You have to, I'm telling you, don't let anyone tell you that what you're thinking is crazy. You know, not only, like I said, my family, like my grandmother years ago was the cafeteria lady there at Velma Jackson. I mean, so my family ties there is strong. My family in is very strong in the area still. But you have to know that don't let anyone discourage you. You know, even when I first started, I remember telling my dad I was going to quit my job to do this full time. And he was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, dad, I am. He was like, that doesn't make any sense. To him, it didn't make sense. But to
Yeah.
me, it did. I saw the numbers, I saw what was happening, and I believed what I could make more of it. And as long as you got a plan now, I ain't telling nobody to just stop and don't pay your bills, but have a plan and see it through. So as if you have that desire in you and you have it and it's so strong, like I said, God is not going to give anything to you that He hasn't already put inside of you to figure out how to make it happen. It's already there. You got to tap into it, clear out the noise, and just go for your goal. It's possible. And again, sometimes it'll lead you. And I would have never thought this. I was going to retire from teaching as far as I knew, but you have to also be open to opportunity. So once I became open to this opportunity, and then I worked it and became open to the possibilities of it, that's what made a difference as well.
Awesome. Well, again, we thank you so much for taking some time for us. My friend, Tyronica Carter, all the way from Atlanta, tyronicacarter.com. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Hey, and whenever you're in town again, we got to have you on campus.
Yes, I look forward to it.
All right, talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Bye bye.
See ya.